Matthew 13:33 says, He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with 3 measures of flour until it was leavened.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Bible with Babbish. This week, we're going to be taking a look at the bread from Matthew 13:33. To start, we're going to begin with 3 measures of flour. And just like the verse says, we're going to add yeast, a half teaspoon to be exact. Next, add 1.5 teaspoons kosher salt. Finally, add 1 1/3 cups of room temperature water. Mix it all together until it forms a shaggy dough, as you can see here. There is no need to knead this bread recipe. Cover and let sit at room temperature for 12 to 24 hours. Something this verse assumes you know that you wouldn't unless you regularly make bread is that leavening bread takes a long time, like 12 to 24 hours and then another 2 hours later. But that's what the kingdom of God is like sometimes. You pace and you pace, waiting for the bread to rise, just like when we are in hardship, like we are right now. We pace and we pace, waiting for it to end. But the kingdom of God is like the leavening of bread. It takes time. In my last video, I talked about the inbreaking of the kingdom, the moments and glimpses of the kingdom that break into our reality, giving us a peek at the world to come. The yeast in our bread and in the parable is like those moments of inbreaking. They're small, and when you mix the yeast into the flour, you can barely see it. The inbreaking moments are insignificant amounts of time compared to one's whole life. You can barely see them in the scope of it. But, like the yeast, they are what makes the flour into bread. The inbreaking moments are what give us hope that what we see is not all there is to see. Once the dough has risen and it looks like a pillow filled with bubbles, you're going to dust your work surface with flour so that your dough doesn't stick to anything, and then dump your dough out onto your work surface. Begin pulling the corners of the dough inward towards the center of the dough until you have a heavily floured, smooth, and taut dough. Once you have a large, round, smooth surface, start pulling the dough towards the bottom, shaping it into a small mound. Place it on some parchment paper. Flour a clean kitchen towel and place it on top of the bread. Let it sit for another hour to 2 hours. Place a cast iron Dutch oven inside your oven and preheat to 450 degrees, leaving the Dutch oven in the oven for at least an hour. Cut excess parchment paper off around the bread, or mime it because you forgot to film like I did. Drop the loaf directly into the cast iron Dutch oven, cover it with the lid, and place it in the oven. Let it bake for 30 minutes, removing the lid, and then baking again for 15 minutes with no lid, or until completely done. Let the bread cool, then slice into it. The whole exercise is to show how the kingdom of God is like the leavening of bread. It takes time, and it requires us to have hope. But that hope comes in the form of the inbreaking of the kingdom of God, when we get glimpses of what that kingdom is going to look like. Just like a little bit of yeast and a whole thing of dough, those make a world of difference in one's life.